Hello, lovely people of the world. Today we shall speak about motherfucking, the traumas, the thoughts and feelings that our parents hand down to us. Because just like we get handy down clothes, a lot of the time we can get handy down states of mind, handy down states of being to resonate with, handy down ways of conducting ourselves based upon our parents' belief systems, however they experienced life, both the good and the bad. So automatically, our parents, if they're not really aware of what's going on in their mind as far as their own personal limitations and their own personal downfalls, and then if they choose to have you as their child, they may subconsciously, unknowingly, a lot of the times, give you a lot of these thoughts and feelings, these traumas that they've developed on their mind, but because they haven't dealt with it within themselves, they kind of subconsciously hand it to you. And a lot of the times, this can look like, upholding a particular occupation at work, or like them having some type of expectation for you. If you're inside of a religion, they might expect you to carry on this religion. They might expect you to go for certain classes in school. They might tell you like, oh, whatever you're doing is unsafe and shit like that. A lot of the times they can take their own personal insecurities, what they're insecure about, and take that and put that on you. And a lot of the times, just us being their children, a lot of the times just as spirits coming into this realm, right? These are things that we've already resonated with on a percentage level. So when we come into this world, we already have these things innately inside of us, but it just doesn't necessarily help when our parents are not aware of these things, of what's limiting them on, what's actually kind of really just not allowing them to move forward in a way that's more holistic. Because a lot of the times we'd be lost in either the right brain spectrum or the left brain spectrum. Your parents could be overly logical. You could be here to be a very creative person, but they may not necessarily allow you to express that gift or express that part of you, just based on them not seeing how would that yield, what would that yield in the world and shit like that, right? So a lot of the times, if what we're trying to do, who we're being, if it's not something already in the world, they might feel like, it's their job or it's their duty as their parents to, steer us and guide us back into the flow of this galaxy, of this universe, which is really just, you have to remember that this world that we're in is just always going to be based on another man's point of view. And if that another man's point of view, naturally based on your parents being born underneath that structure of banking systems, or religions, or political parties and stuff like that, whatever your parents are affiliated with, automatically they're going to want you to affiliate with that. And it goes so much more deeper than these externally appearing fictitious corporations that come in the form of political parties and religions. A lot of these things sometimes just be like emotions and stuff like that, right? A lot of times even some of our parents may dislike themselves or hate themselves to a certain degree or to a certain percentage that doesn't necessarily truly allow them to be authentic and genuine. And you could be a kid, being naturally more authentic and more genuine, and you could see what type of attention that gets you because you're truly just having fun. You're truly just being yourself. And a lot of the times, they may try to see that as some type of behavior or some type of pattern that they need to correct based on them not being able to do that so freely. So they might kind of put you in some type of situation mentally, or express something or project something on you that they're internally dealing with as some form of internal self-conflict, just to put on you, just so you could play that out. But a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't really know that's what they're doing subconsciously. And so when they limit themselves, they also limit you by their own identity by default. Because as long as you're their child, as long as your mind is being raised by them, you're always going to be susceptible for their mind to inject and infiltrate your mind. Because obviously as a child, your mind is just open to receiving everything. But a lot of the times we don't be receiving necessarily good emotions. We don't necessarily be receiving healthy emotions. A lot of the emotions we be receiving is things of feeling unsafe. A lot of times when I was younger, I felt unsafe by the parents that raised me. One example would be one time, when I was a kid, I asked my dad a question, and my dad almost punched me in the face. He raised his fist, and he was like, and all I asked was a question. Maybe in that morning he was angry, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? Now, that's for me as a spiritually awakened spirit that's looking back at that, I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that, because I need to make peace with that situation and many other moments and shit like that, right? So me looking back, I'm just like, damn, so my parent was angry, and then they was frustrated because it was something that they was trying to figure out within their own life. So they took that frustration and that anger and they put it on me. But as a result of children feeling unsafe and things like that, they start to rebel against their parents. They start to hate their families, and it really just becomes a what do you call it? A tower moment, basically, where like your family could be thinking like, yeah, we're building this thing for our future generations or whatever it is, or you know, we're trying to uphold this religion because this is the right religion, or we're trying to be part of this political system because this is the right political system. But a lot of the times, if these things are used, if it's force, especially if it's mental force, a lot of the times, like, hey, I'm gonna force you to study this subject, and but you can't do what you really want to do. And a lot of the times, them steering our minds to that, a lot of times force need to be used, because you gotta understand that force was used with them and shit like that. So automatically in their mind, they view that as, you know, the right thing to do, or the thing that's needed to do, or the necessary evil, or the needed sacrifice. Like, if my son hates me, then it's okay because at least I put him on the right path. Look at him now. He's a doctor. He's in university. Look, he got a car. He got a wife. But it's like your parents really a lot of the times be living their lives through you. A lot of the times the things that they couldn't do, they kind of try to live that through you. So they kind of like program you, mentally alter you, make you feel certain ways, guilty about certain things. Hey, do this, but don't do that. But because you have to understand, life is all about subjectivity. So your parents have their own subjectivity about objectivity that they just agree upon and shit like that. So it's like really because they have this mental firmament over their head that prevents them from renewing their thoughts and feelings, that, you know, just prevents them from really just healing themselves. Because it'd be a lot of damage, you know, in the heart chakra. It'd be a lot of things that was said, a lot of things that was felt by like generations of forefathers and stuff like that, still passed down to these generations and stuff like that, that they still carry on their mind. And they think like this is just how life is supposed to be lived. And, you know, it's just, it's very unfortunate because, you know, it's a very destructive cycle. It's a very unfortunate cycle, and a lot of people suffer within the cycle. I know, like, me being within this cycle and shit like that was not very healthy for my mind, was not very healthy for my development. And it was a lot of things where I had to rebel extremely against these things, right? And try to kind of bring things back into balance as much as possible, because the thing is about your spirit, the things about your soul, the things about your space is that if you don't fight for it within this lifetime, then you're forever going to reincarnate into other lifetimes where you don't have your own space. You can't really be you. So like in this lifetime, it could be a religion you have to rebel against, or it could be like, you know, whatever it is that's coming to you as an external form that's preventing you from expanding yourself towards a possibility that, you know, you want to experience and stuff like that. Because life is just about experiences. But a lot of the times we'll be getting these handy-down experiences from our parents telling us, hey, look, I did things this way, you should do things this way. And whenever you don't do things that way, whatever you're doing starts to be viewed as unsafe or whatever. You might get like stuff taken away from you and shit, to the point that it starts to become like an esoteric jailhouse, you know what I'm saying? To the point that you might feel like, hey, I need to escape this and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's really unfortunate because a lot of times these just be traumas passed down to them by their parents that they haven't processed and dealt with. And it's really, really even more unfortunate because a lot of the times, like, the systems that are in place just be systems that are used to, you know, to have you rely on them. So, you know, for example, right, one of the things that I speak about a lot is, you know, the religious structure of things a lot of the times, because religion doesn't truly help people transmute their feelings and things like that, right? At least not to a high capacity. They might just kind of get lost in La La Land type shit, like Christians in the church, or if you're coming like me from an Islamic background, for example, you might practice a very hardcore form of discipline. And you might think, you know, by upholding this hardcore form of discipline, this structure, this is going to lead to some type of salvation. But, you know, truly, like, they're just mentally divided. One person practices overly left brain shit. One person practices overly right brain shit. Because you got to use all the elements to be able to, you know, make sense out of your reality. And whenever, you know, you're inside some lower octave animalistic nature, like if someone has to force you to do something in their way, to think and feel in particular ways, to carry their same beliefs, that lets you know that they don't have any charismatic gifts. And if they don't have any charismatic gifts, that means they wasn't investing in themselves in the first place. They was too busy investing in other people's systems, other people's structures, other ways of people thinking, and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? Because if your father really was developing themselves and they was expanding their space, automatically your father and your mother, they would naturally inspire the child, because they would see like, damn, mom and dad, they're doing this and this and that, and, you know, I want to grow up to be this. Yeah, let me listen to my mom and dad a little bit, because however they're getting that, then I want to be able to express that to some type of degree, right? But a lot of the times they just be stuck in these institutions that really just keep them on some type of hamster wheel, paying tuition, giving energy and stuff like that. Especially if you come from the church background, you know, at the church a lot of the times they can get you to give your money, your time, and a lot of it just be based on like money stuff. Like, man, because I know pastors and shit like that too. One pastor was telling me, shout out to my boy Dr. Will Rogers and shit like that, right? He was telling me, like, one time, man, because they really do the whole witchcraft shit in the church, man. They'll put on some music, man. The pastor lady, she might wear all white, or the pastor man might wear all white, and like they might just put you in this like hypnotic vibe and rhythm that, this serenity type vibe. But you have to understand that it's really just them taking a drug. It's really just them getting mentally high. And there's nothing wrong with these things, because a lot of the times we create these stimuli and stuff like that. You can like stimulate yourself to be happy. You can stimulate yourself to, be angry about something. But a lot of the times when we're stuck in old frameworks of doing something, aka golems, kind of characters that we hold on to, right? Basically a mind, a state of being, and we don't know how to get out of that. We're gonna operate forever in that mind, and whatever gave us that state of being, whatever gave us that mind, whatever help us, build that, we're gonna keep going to that. But that's the same thing that's keeping us, inside of that institution that's really just prostituting us and shit like that, right? So a lot of people that have a mind, aka your parents, for example, don't know how to get outside of the framework of that mind, because there's so many things going on in that mind, insecurities that they're trying to, keep you from the dark from, make you think, oh, this is good, or feelings that are really low vibration, like envy, hatred, worry, stress, blah blah blah, right? And it could be just them thinking, things have to be practically done this way. So instead of all of us, the different races in humanity, just appreciating and loving God, the space, the parameter that we are in, that we're observing, aka the stars, astro theology, however you refer to it. Because when you just make a theology, a religion, you're just making a worldview about how you personally observe something. So anyone can have a vision about what a tree is from their perspective. Anyone can connect with people emotionally and heal people on an emotional level by understanding what's going on with them on a deep subconscious emotional level and shit like that. And, anyone can come back, anyone can create linguistical terms, signs and sigils, alphabets, dialects, to, communicate their points amongst a group of tribes, or, building community and people and shit like that. And all these different things we just do to, come together as a people. But if we do it underneath someone else's system, we're forever going to be limited by that system, by that framework of someone else. So, the parents a lot of the times just be stuck in these old outdated frameworks of how things should be done. So we should be just really more compassionate and more understanding. But it's like, trust me, because I'm really coming from that space genuinely, where like I had to deal with that. I had to like experience that a lot of the times. But I didn't want to create no catastrophic situation where, like, because I don't know about your family, my parents rely on me for money, all types of shit. So it's like, so it's just ridiculous. But at the same time, though, it's like you just gotta create a situation where things don't go. And sometimes it's like you might just have to leave your house. Sometimes, like for real. Sometimes like they might just be so stuck into whatever they're stuck into. They might really, really, really believe that they can't let you go. Like for example, my brother, when he visited back home, based upon our mother being stuck inside of the religious framework of the Abrahamic religion of Islam. When we was getting into the occult studies of these things, when we was getting into like astrology and studying the stars and stuff like that, my mother automatically looked at it as very negative. So she believed that, my brother needed some form of assistance as a form of a teacher, which in this case would have been Imam in Islam. And, my brother, he would tell me the story of how this Imam was just very angry, very pissed off. He looked like a very controlling person, and he had a stick in his hand. Because these people will, like Muslims will fucking hit you, man. These people will strike you. Now, you're not going to see that in no, like, fucking, what's it called, that what they show you on TV and shit like that. But there's really places where this shit is so fucked up, like they will beat you type shit like that. Like you got people right now in North Africa that's still justifying killing people because they're not Muslims or they're not light skinned and stuff like that. Like there's so much racism in the part of the world where I come from, just because like it's not good or bad, it's just the proximity of where I come from. For example, I come from North Sudan, right? So it's right by the Red Sea. And the point of that is that we know, like, we see pale Arabs north to that. We have Ethiopians to the south of us. We have West Africans there. And then across the Red Sea, we have the Arabian Peninsula. Then we got Arabs. So it's a very, like, multicultural place. But the point is that when we get lost in these indoctrinations and these words, we can really start to treat people unfairly. Like, you got people just being beat because they're from, like, a Nubian tribe. So it's just, like, all this unnecessary hatred in the world, just based upon these titles and these words, and based upon how much energy people invest into something. And if you don't invest that same amount of energy like them, that must mean something is wrong with you, and you need to go to their institution and praying. But when you see them being frustrated, angry, hateful, and their only way of bringing a word is grabbing a gun and a sword and just forcing that shit down your throat. and calling you all types of names like a son of a bitch, and you unholy, you that of unholy blood. Man, it gets so fucking deep. That's why these people is nuts. A lot of them have like religious people. 99, all of them. Now, not all Muslims, because some Muslims are actually enlightened. They know about this shit like on a higher Kabbalah, occult astrology type shit. They know where these words come from. But a lot of these Muslims, a lot of these Christians, a lot of these different people really got mental illnesses, got traumas, got frustrations, stuff that they don't know how to do without those books. So they need those books. And whenever they don't see that being accomplished in their life, they start to get upset. They start to get really condescending, really pissed off towards other people that have that opportunity, and then they try to limit that opportunity from them. So, basically the reason why I'm bringing up all this stuff is to show you that really, in the grand scheme of things, we all really go towards, we're all experiencing the same thing, whether your parents have an affiliation to a political party, whether your parents have an affiliation to a particular race, or your own race, or whatever like that, or your parents have an affiliation to a particular religion, or, sometimes it could just be like a state of mind. And a lot of the times, the state of being that these religious people unknowingly be coming from is a state of being of going through, trials and tribulations. Them thinking like, hey, you know what? I need these problems in my life, because if I don't go through these problems, I'm not gonna figure out. Why really it's just them sitting back, accepting another man's traumas, another man's issues, stuff that a lot of the times don't got nothing to do with them. Because think about it, right? If you're a man, right? You got a purpose in your life. You're charismatic, you're having fun, you're enjoying your life, Life is good, Hey, a female will naturally see that. A female will see you naturally enjoying your life, going about your day, enjoying yourself, because you're already fulfilled. You're not looking for anything. So that female will naturally want to come along with you and join whatever it is that you're doing, because your energy is saying, I'm fulfilled. Your energy isn't saying that, hey, I'm unfulfilled and I need someone in my life. And that energy becomes unattractive. And a lot of people subconsciously have that and they don't necessarily know about that and shit, right? But what's it called? Yeah, so when religious people, basically, they start to think like we need like these forms of religion to make women submit to us and blah, 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 so we can have 4 wives and shit. But all that is just, like, for Islam can have 4 wives and shit. But all that is just for their desires. Man, I just bit my tongue. Holy fuck. That shit hurt. But yeah, it's a lot of times it just be for their desires. So this is why a lot of times I refer to religion, shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man, because he talked about this as, the logic of the fallen angels, because it's a higher form of intelligence, but it's still about going into the same low animalistic desire and shit like that. So a lot of religious people, a lot of people in the world in general, have a form of intelligence, down to even political parties, about going into that same desire that doesn't really make sense. So you can, if you're, for example, if you're in the western side of hemisphere of the world, in Canada, we have like the liberals. And in the US, I believe the equivalent of the liberals would be the Democrats, which is more so like the right brain, hippy dippy, yeah, welcome all the immigrants, without knowing or seeing the statistics of the economy, if it makes sense. But you need to understand, both sides are just created to polarize people and create conflicts and shit like that, right? So you can have an affiliation to the Democrats, fucking liberals, and participate in that. I think that's the right thing to do. But either one, to have a worldview in either one of those is wrong, because that's not holistic. That doesn't make sense. So if you're Democrat or Republican, not Democrat, Republican, sorry, liberal, Democrat, hippie right brain motherfuckers don't make sense about what they do. It don't make sense. So then down years the line, we go down that path, then we realize, oh shit, the economy's fucked up. We need to jump back into the motherfucking conservatives in Canada, and then in the US that would be what's it called, Republicans and shit like that, so we can boost the economy and shit like that. But you gotta understand, it's just 2 different ways of polarizing people to keep people fighting forever. So it's like, if we don't have a system that brings people into unity, if we don't have a system that brings people into a sense of balance within themselves and the overall world in general. Now, that's just what we're trying to do in general, but I'm trying to explain how a lot of these institutions are used to just to further divide the people, to the point that these institutions start to have further institutions under them and shit. Like, you'll have Catholicism, for example, as a religion. Then you have the Martin Luther Church. You have the Anglican Church, or whatever the fuck it's called. Just a whole bunch of churches, shit underneath that. But for what though? Because people are not really looking for God. They subconsciously and knowingly are looking to cater to their own desires. And so then they'll create a version of that religion that cater to that. And only pick out, for example, reading the Bible, from reading the Quran, I might only cater or look at verses that cater to what I got going on. So if I see a verse that says, yeah, slap that woman in the face and drop nuts on her face or some shit like that, I might be insecure about something, and I might be like, you know what? Yeah, this is the verse I need to tap into to manifest what I need to manifest. But it's all just really based upon insecurities and just the lack of ability to get something in your own way. You know what I'm saying? Having the charismatic gift to get it in your own way. So you might need another man's word, another man's institution of getting it. So, yeah. So, like I said, I go through this like a lot. So it's like, it's just a constant everyday thing. Because I understand it's not just about one video. Like, you can't watch this video and just be healed. It's impossible. I'm just providing you the awareness so you can have the intelligence to look at what these things are, because you've already experienced these things in your life. So you can start to see like, damn, you know what? Okay, how can I start to separate from this slowly and surely, but better and better and shit like that? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. And there's truly no right or wrong way of doing it. There's no right or wrong way of dealing with your parents. It's just, again, we always get back what we planned. So when your parents, when they had you and they forced some shit on you, they're going to get back something for that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not going to be a positive response because what they're doing wasn't really positive in the totality and shit like that. So yeah, so with that being said, man, make sure you take care. Make sure you take care of yourself. Make sure you really take a look at your traumas, take care of your insecurities, and try to like clean these things as much as possible, as much as you can every day. Because truly, transformation every single day is just about, doing the shadow work and stuff like that. And a lot of the times they have beef with these religions, beef with these political parties, and beef with all these different people because they don't really be teaching people how to do the shadow work. They don't be teaching people how to deal with these traumas that their parents passed down onto them. Now, like I said, that trauma can be overly exacerbated by our parents' lack of understanding of what these things are that they're dealing with themselves, that they project onto you. But these things as well are things that we manifest based on us resonating with the seed of our parents and who they are and shit like that. So we have some of those qualities within us as well. But a lot of the times, like, just based on our parents not knowing how to deal with themselves, they can put some form of, like I said, religion, politics, blah, blah, education on you and be like, hey, uphold this and shit like that. So it gets very tricky, it gets very interesting, but that's what this channel is all about, learning to navigate yourself, learning to know yourself, so we can navigate the outside current, that comes in the form of family, that comes in the form of friends, that come in the form of, broad philosophical point of views, that's, religions or, imaginations about what is God, whether I paint a picture of Jesus for you, or, whether I point make a picture for you about Shiva, Brahma, wherever you may come from. That being said, peace out, everybody. Love.